I like Lionel Hollins. I always have, especially when he was with the Memphis Grizzlies. But this Brooklyn Nets team, they just simply are not very good. I'll talk about them more in just a little bit. But what I like tonight is for under the total between the Memphis Grizzlies and the Brooklyn Nets. Memphis had a good bounce back game in Indiana after that just terrible debacle against the Cavaliers. And Brooklyn had a horrible second half just last night. They're coming off a back-to-back against San Antonio. Could be another rough night. But what I like is how these teams match up. I don't think they're going to be focusing on transition, shooting the ball a lot from beyond the arc. Neither of them do it particularly well. I think it's going to be more of a defensive battle. And I think the Nets are in for another tough one. They started off the year, though, 2 tough games at Chicago, then at San Antonio. Yikes. And now they got to go to Memphis, which is one of the best teams in the West as well. So that's a tough matchup for them. And I like for this game to go under the total. That number is 191.5. And again, I think there's going to be a lot of stuff done in the interior. I think the Nets are going to rely on Brook Lopez. Of course, the Grizzlies, they revolve around Zach Randolph and Marc Gasol. And I like for this to be a low-scoring affair with the Grizzlies most likely coming out on top. Let's talk about the Nets. So far this season, the Nets are averaging 87.5 points per game, shooting 41.2% from the field, and only 20% from distance. Again, they've had 2 tough matchups. They're coming off a back-to-back, and they played they didn't score at all in the second half against the Spurs, and I expect that to carry over into tonight against a Grizzlies team that's probably going to be in lockdown mode. Considering how poorly they played, their first game of the year against Cleveland in Memphis. I look for them to play a lot better tonight. Defensively, the Nets on the year, they're allowing 108.5 points per game, 50% shooting from the field, and 46% from beyond the arc. Again, that's against the Bulls and the Spurs, 2 good teams, 2 teams with a lot of talent that can score. Memphis, I don't think offensively they're quite as good. Well, they're not as good as San Antonio offensively, and I don't think they're quite as good as the Bulls offensively, but that's a close. That would be a really good matchup. Those teams, that'd be a fun one to watch. I like for the Nets to stop Memphis enough, at least keep the pace to something they can manage, especially after coming off a back-to-back. They're going to have to if they want to stay in this. If they get out and run, Memphis is going to absolutely crush them, in my opinion. Memphis on the year, offensively, they come in averaging 94 points per game, 42.7 shooting from the field, and 28.1% shooting from beyond the arc. So those percentages, that around 42% from the field and under 30% from beyond the arc, that's, they're going to shoot better as far as their field goal percentage. That will improve. From beyond the arc, though, they're not a super proficient team in that category. They're decent. Last year they were decent as well. But they're just not a transition team. They're a half-court to half-court team. They're going to kill you on defense, and they're going to make you work for shots, make you work for your points. And I like for them to do that tonight because defensively, so far on the year, although their stats aren't great, they've allowed 104.5 points per game, 48.1% shooting, and 42.4% shooting from beyond the arc. Now, here's the point. Those numbers are way high for a Memphis team that likes to play defense, that's good at playing defense. I expect them to be flying around tonight and make the game miserable for Brooklyn, and I expect Brooklyn to have a lot of trouble scoring tonight, and for them to not capitalize on that, but go with that and try to keep the game flow at a reasonable pace in order for them to try and stay in it. That's how I see this game kind of playing out. I don't see for it to get to get anywhere close to 200 or anything like that. I'm looking for more like the low 180s. I think it's going to be a pretty low scoring affair, so it should be a grind out game. That's what I think is going to happen in my opinion. And I think the Grizzlies are definitely going to start playing some better basketball. So I like under 191.5 in Memphis versus the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies versus the Brooklyn Nets. We're doing okay so far this year. We're 6-3 on the season. Let's keep going forward here. And I wish you guys luck on your plays of the day.